Section 3.1 teaches us 3 different ways to solve a quadratic equation. So what we're going to talk about in this video is how to solve using square roots. This is the easiest of the methods. The problem is we can only use it if there's only one x term in our equation. And of course our x term needs to be squared because we're solving quadratics, which means our highest exponent is 2. So we've got to have an x squared, and our goal is to get x by itself. So this only works if we've only got one x in our equation so that we can solve for it, we can isolate it, we can get it by itself. So to solve for x here, our first step is to add 100 to both sides. So x squared equals 100. But then we've also got to get rid of the squared. And you might remember, to get rid of a squared, we take the square root. They are inverse properties. They undo each other. So taking the square root of x squared makes the square root sign and the squared sign cancel each other out, so we're just left with x. But if whatever you do to one side, don't forget you've got to do it to the other side. So since we took the square root there, we need to take the square root over here. And your initial response is to say, square root of 100 is 10. But I just want to let you know, every time we take the square root of a positive number, you're going to get 2 answers. A positive answer and a negative answer. Because yes, 10 times 10 is 100. But so is negative 10 times negative 10. So a shorthand way of writing that is this little plus or minus sign. This means positive 10 is an answer, and so is negative 10. So that means our x-intercepts for this problem would be 10 and negative 10. Some of the problems I'm going to do in this video are also right now examples in the notes posted on Google Classroom, and some are not. The ones that are, I'm just going to put a little star next to so that you know I've got this written out in the notes on Google Classroom. But for this example, the best option to solve this one is by using square roots, because we have an x squared term but no x term. So it's going to be easy to isolate that x. So in this case, we need to get rid of the 14 and we need to get rid of the 2/3. Always start with the third wheel. So 2/3 x squared equals 6. To get rid of 2/3, we're multiplied by the reciprocal. So these cancel and we're left with x squared. Over here we have 6 times 3 divided by 2. That's 9. 18 over 2 is 9. And then to get rid of the squared, we need to take the square root, because the squared and the square root will cancel each other out, so that x is now isolated. Whatever you do to the left side, make sure you do to the right side. And then don't forget, when you take the square root of a positive number, you get 2 answers. Positive 3 and negative 3. So our 2 solutions, or roots, or zeros, or x-intercepts, are positive 3 and negative 3. Each of these examples are just going to get a little bit spicier. For the next one, we're going to start by adding 31 to both sides. So 4x squared equals 80. To get the x squared by itself, we need to divide by 4. So x squared equals 20. And then our last step, to get rid of the squared, we take the square root of both sides so that the squared and the square root cancel each other out. But you'll notice 20 is not a perfect square. It's an irrational number. I do not want you to write your answers as decimals, because you're going to have to round them, because anytime you take the square root of a non-perfect square, you get an irrational number, and those get messy. Instead, I want you to simplify these radicals. So if you forget how to simplify the radical, shoot me an email. I can send you a video of how to do that. But basically, you set up a factor tree. You look at all your prime numbers, and if you have double of something, that escapes the square root sign. So we have 2, but the 5 is still stuck underneath the square root sign. This is we call this 2 root 5, or 2 times the square root of 5. But don't forget, whenever you take the square root of a positive number, you get 2 answers. So we have positive 2 root 5 and negative 2 root 5 as our final answer. All right, again, we want to solve using square roots because it's easy to isolate this x. We're going to subtract 9 first. So 3x squared equals -9. Then we're going to divide by 3. So x squared equals -3. Lastly, to get rid of the squared, we're going to take the square root of both sides because that cancels. But here's where we get stuck on this one. Not only is 3 not a perfect square, but we're also taking the square root of a negative number. You cannot multiply a number by itself and get a negative number because a positive times a positive is a positive and a negative times a negative is a positive. So whenever you have to take the square root of a negative number, your answer is no real solution. You just kind of stop where you are for now and write no real solution. Don't write no solution because in our next lesson, we're going to talk about imaginary numbers. There are solutions to this, they're just imaginary. And we'll talk about how to find those later on, but for now, just write no real solution every time you have to take the square root of a negative number. Once again, an x squared term, no x term, we're going to get that x by itself. This problem is in your notes, but I actually forgot to finish it all the way. The answer in the notes isn't simplified. Whoops. So let's go ahead and solve this together. So I get down to this step. Got -7 divided by -2, which we're just going to leave as a fraction, but it does turn into a positive because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Then we're going to take the square root of both sides so that we get x by itself. Square root of 7 over 2, that's kind of messy, but really what that is it's the square root of 7 over the square root of 2. And don't forget that whenever we take the square root of a positive number, we get two answers, positive and negative. But here's the problem. There's no square root of 7. It's irrational. Square root of 2 is irrational. But in math, we cannot leave an answer with a square root in the denominator. So we have to rationalize the denominator is what it's called. And again, if you don't remember how to do this, let me know and I can send you a video on how to do it. But basically, to do that, to get rid of the square root of 2 in the bottom, we're going to multiply the square root of 2 times the square root of 2. But if we do it to the bottom, we've also got to do it to the top. So I'm going to multiply this by the square root of 2 over the square root of 2 also. So basically what we're doing is we're multiplying by 1, as that's what this is. And so it doesn't change the integrity of the problem. It just makes it rational. Well, it rationalizes the denominator at least. So when I take the square root of 2 times the square root of 2, I get the square root of 4, which is just 2. So I no longer have a square root sign in the denominator. That's what I wanted. On top, I have the square root of 7 times the square root of 2. That's the square root of 14. For some reason in math, it's okay to have a square root sign in the numerator. It's just not considered normal to have one in the denominator, so we rationalize it. And so our final answer is positive and negative square root of 14 over 2. We can't simplify it any more than that. If you did the factor tree for 14, nothing escapes radical jail, so this is just our final answer. The last three examples are going to look a little bit different because we're going to have parentheses around what's being squared. And so we've got this binomial being squared instead of just the x being squared. But we're still going to solve using square roots because we've only got one x still. So it's still the easiest method to use is solving using square roots. But we can't add 4 to both sides first because it's trapped in the parentheses with the x. And so what we're going to do first is we're going to get rid of the squared term. To get rid of a squared, we take the square root. So that squared and that square root are going to cancel each other out. And then we're left with x minus 4. Since we took the square root of one side, we've got to do it to the other side. And don't forget, whenever we take the square root of a positive number, we get two answers. So we get a positive 6 and a negative 6 here. But we're not done. that we still are going to have to add 4 to both sides to get x by itself. But before we do that, since we've got x minus 4 could be positive 6 and x minus 4 could be negative 6, I'm going to go ahead and split that into 2 separate equations. It's a little bit easier to solve this way. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides here to get 10. And same thing over here, add 4, but this time I get negative 2. And don't ever lose sight of what we're doing. We are finding where the parabola crosses the x-axis. So our 2 x-intercepts for this quadratic are 10 and negative 2. And you can always check your answer too. If I plugged in 10 into the original, I should get 36. And same thing if I plug in negative 2 into the original equation. 2 more examples. This one's a little bit different than the last one in that there's something outside of the parentheses. So when that happens, step 1 needs to be to isolate the parentheses. I can't take the square root yet because I haven't isolated what's being squared. So I need to get rid of this 2 first. And the 2 is connected to this through multiplication. This says 2 times x minus 4 squared. So to get rid of that, I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So I have x minus 4 squared equals negative 5 over 2. Now that what's being squared is isolated, I can get rid of that squared by taking the square root. So they cancel each other out and I have x minus 4. I also need to take the square root of the other side. And this would be pretty messy if it was positive, but since it's a negative underneath the square root sign, I'm done with this problem, and I'm just going to write no real solutions. Remember that if we take the square root of a negative number, it means that this quadratic has no real solutions. And what that means in the context of the actual parabola, it just means that this parabola never touches the x-axis. It's either above it or it's an upside down one below it, but it never goes through the x-axis. Last example, we're going to solve using square roots because we just have one variable, so it's going to be fairly easy to isolate that. But before we can isolate the x, we've got to be able to isolate this whole squared binomial, I guess. So we need to be able to isolate what's squared, so we need to get rid of the 2 and the 4. Get rid of the third wheel first. So I have 2 times x plus 5 squared equals 6. To get rid of the 2, we're going to divide because it's being multiplied by the x plus 5 squared. So I have x plus 5 squared equals 3. So now what's being squared is isolated. Now I'm ready to take the square root of both sides to get rid of the squared. So I'm left with x plus 5 on this side and the square root of 3 on the other side. Now we can't take the square root of 3. It's not a perfect, well, we can. It's not a perfect square, so it doesn't come out nice and pretty. So for right now, I'm just going to leave that plus or minus the square root of 3. It can't be simplified by using radical jail, so I'm just going to leave it like this. And remember, our goal is to isolate the x, so we still need to get rid of the positive 5. I'm going to do that by subtracting 5 from both sides. So I have a negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 3. And this, I'm going to leave my answer like this. I could write this as 2 separate answers. Negative 5 plus the square root of 3. And negative 5 minus the square root of 3. I can break that up into 2 separate answers, but this is the simplified way of writing it. And we can't simplify it any more than this. I can't combine these 2 things together. They're not alike. And I can't simplify the square root of 3 any further. So this is just it. This is our final answer. Don't change things to decimals. Sometimes it'll say round to the nearest tenth. If it does, we would change the square root of 3 to a decimal, and we would add negative 5 to it, but normally we wouldn't do that.